You are not tired. You are undisciplined with your emotions. Every time you react, you give someone else the power that belongs to you. Every outburst, every overthinking spiral, every emotional storm costs you control. This audiobook is about taking that power back. It's about mastering the only battlefield that matters, your inner world. From this moment forward, you stop reacting and start ruling. Because when you control your emotions, you control your life. Let's begin. Stop reacting. Start responding. That's where your power begins. Every time you react, you hand control to something or someone outside yourself. A word, a look, a situation, a distraction. You give it all your energy, your focus, your peace. And you don't even realize it. You think you're standing up for yourself. You think you're expressing how you feel. But the truth is simple. When you react, you're not in control. You're being controlled. 1. The trap of reaction. The human brain is built to react. That's survival instinct. Fight, flight, freeze, it's ancient wiring. It kept your ancestors alive in danger. But today, that same instinct destroys your peace. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you explode. A coworker questions you, you over-explain. A loved one ignores you, you spiral. Reaction, reaction, reaction. Automatic, emotional, weak. You must break that cycle. Because if you don't, your life becomes one long chain of reactions. Trigger to trigger, emotion to emotion, without direction or control. You have to understand this. Emotions are impulses, not instructions. Feeling anger doesn't mean you must act angry. Feeling fear doesn't mean you must run. Feeling doubt doesn't mean you stop. You have a choice. That's the key. Every reaction is a choice disguised as instinct. And once you see that, you begin to master yourself. There's a split second between emotion and reaction. That moment, that pause, is where power lives. Most people never find it. They get angry and lash out. They feel insulted and defend. They get scared and run. They feel pressure and fold. But you're not here to live like most people. You're here to master yourself. The pause is power. Remember that. Say it out loud if you have to. The pause is power. Because that pause, that breath between stimulus and response, is where control is born. It's the gap that separates the strong from the impulsive, the disciplined from the emotional, the calm leader from the chaotic crowd. You have a choice. Every time something happens, every insult, every setback, every disappointment, you have a choice. React or pause. And that choice defines your future. That's the key. Let's get something straight. Reacting fast doesn't make you strong. It makes you predictable. Anyone can provoke a man who has no pause. All it takes is one word, one glance, one comment, and boom, he explodes. He gives away his peace, his logic, his credibility, all in a flash. The man without a pause is easy to control. Push his buttons and he performs exactly as expected. You can manipulate him. You can exhaust him. You can defeat him. But the man who pauses, he's untouchable. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't know how he'll respond. You can't predict his move because he doesn't move until he's ready. That's real power. That's emotional control. That's mastery. Look at great leaders. Look at warriors. Look at thinkers. They all have one thing in common, the ability to pause. Think of a soldier in the heat of battle, chaos everywhere, bullets flying, and yet he pauses just long enough to make the right call. That pause saves lives. Think of a CEO in a boardroom. Tension in the air, everyone waiting for his reaction to bad news. He doesn't speak immediately. He takes a breath. He looks around. He thinks. That pause commands respect. Think of a public figure under fire. Cameras flashing. Journalists shouting. The world waiting for a sound bite. He pauses before he speaks. And that pause, that silence, says more than 1,000 words. The pause is power. Let me tell you the truth. You will lose respect when you react too quickly. You will lose peace when you react emotionally. You will lose clarity when you react without thought. And you will regret words spoken from emotion more than words left unsaid. It's not about silence. It's about timing. It's not about holding back forever. It's about choosing when to engage. You don't need to respond right away. You don't need to defend yourself every time. You don't need to prove your point in every argument. Sometimes your silence is the statement. Sometimes the pause is the dominance. Sometimes saying nothing shows more strength than saying everything. Because silence unsettles people who feed on your reaction. And calmness destroys those who rely on your chaos. The pause is not weakness. It's composure. It's awareness. It's the space where wisdom forms. The pause is where your emotions pass through your filter. It's where you ask, is this worth my energy? Will this matter tomorrow? Am I acting from discipline or from ego? If you can pause long enough to ask those questions, you're already ahead of 99% of people. Because most never stop to think. They speak before they understand. They act before they see the full picture. They react before they reflect. And every reaction costs them power. Every reaction drains their mental bank. Every reaction moves them further from control. But every pause adds interest to that bank. Every pause builds emotional wealth. Every pause makes you richer in discipline, patience, and control. The pause is power. Now let's make it practical. Here's what you do. When emotion rises, don't move. When anger sparks, don't speak. When fear shouts, don't run. Count to 3. Breathe in deeply. Hold it. Let it go. Ask yourself, what outcome do I want? Then act, not react. That's how you lead your life instead of being led by it. That's how you take back the steering wheel of your mind. Remember, you can't control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens within you. And that control begins in the pause. Think about your daily life. Every argument, every disappointment, every irritation, they're all training grounds for your pause. When someone cuts you off in traffic, pause. When your boss criticizes you unfairly, pause. When your partner snaps, pause. When life doesn't go your way, pause. Because that pause isn't just silence, it's strategy. Each pause strengthens the muscle of restraint. Each pause sharpens your awareness. Each pause turns chaos into clarity. That's discipline. That's maturity. That's evolution. So the next time you feel yourself boiling up, remember this. You have a choice. Always. You can react and drain your power, or you can pause and amplify it. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need to match their chaos. You don't need to prove your strength by shouting. Strength is silent. Power is patient. Control is quiet. The pause is power. Say it again. The pause is power. That's your mantra. That's your discipline. That's your edge. You've learned to stop chasing control outside yourself. Now you've learned to find it inside, in the pause between impulse and action. You're mastering silence. You're mastering timing. You're mastering yourself. And that mastery, that stillness, is where true confidence is born. You mastered your reactions. Now let's talk about what gives those reactions meaning. Next chapter. The discipline of silence, how to turn your energy into presence. Don't forget to subscribe and continue your journey toward inner mastery.